Deneen, to me, this speaks of almost a generational problem where, hey, you know, this is the AP chum. We don't talk about the unsavory stuff. You're a professional. You wouldn't ask me something like that, as opposed to, hey, it's game on, guys. It's the age of social media.
See, and that's the thing, Dr. Drew. It seems like that whole approach of, you know, I'm not going to dignify these allegations with a response because they're beneath me. That's old school. I think that actually he needs to kind of go forward with this, you know, and address these things right in front of everybody. And I understand what his attorneys are saying. I understand people that are saying, you know, that he should be quiet or whatever. But I think the best defense is a good offense. And the fact that he's just sitting here like a sitting duck, I mean, it just leads people to believe that he's not telling the truth. And I'm one of those people, honestly.
And Spirit, the fact that we have all formed a mob now on Twitter is not helping things, is it?
It's not helping things at all. But, you know, even scarier than that, when I watched that interview, did you see his wife's reaction? This, for them, is just business as usual, and that is what scares me the most. I don't think that there's anything that he could say that's going to change this. I just don't.
Well, in Spirit, there's something that bothers me is that there's so much. This you know, he didn't, I guess, didn't ask to become America's father, but that's what he became. He puts himself out in the public as a child development specialist. He tells African Americans how they ought to behave, males, and he has this lexicon of behavior that if you pulled out any one or two of the pieces, it's still reprehensible. If you said, okay, he never drugged these girls, that was false. Well, still he groomed them, and that's all well documented. Well, he didn't rape them, but he had some assault. These are all allegations, but some of them are not allegations. Some of them are not. Okay. Some of them are just the fact, and some of them have settled. So I've got documents where he's settled for some of these same kinds of behaviors. It's so much that any piece of it is all so unsavory, given who we thought he was, I think, is what so much of this is about.
It's chilling. It's chilling. And if you go back to, let's talk about his own story, 1969. It's true, it's true. When he's telling the story about being 13 and being exposed to Spanish fly and what that can do and what it does to women and what you do if you saw a whole lot of women that you were excited about. I mean, it's really scary, and it's very telling.
Yeah, but how about the culture in our country at the time when everyone, oh, that's really funny. Well, way to go. That's so, Deneen, how about that? That's so clever of you. Women are such crazy creatures, aren't they?
See, and keep in mind, Dr. Drew, he is an actor. He is an actor by profession, and he plays roles. So, of course, he's going to be good at knowing how to play a role. That's what actors do. And as far as the culture back then, that was a time when Luke raped Laura on General Hospital. They got married, and they were America's couple, and nobody had a problem with that.
Right.
So it was a whole different time. They were on the cover of Time magazine.
That happened in, what was it, the late 80s or the early 90s?
Yes.
Not the Breakfast Club, but 16 Candles, also a movie that I loved, where the nerd ends up getting the popular girl intoxicated and then has sex with her. That's
great. Wendy, I see you winding up for a punch here. Go ahead.
Well, I just think I'm always looking for what good can come of this.
Yes.
Really, what good can we? Do we want to see this old man go to jail? Do we?
No, it's not going to happen.
Of course not. But the good is that we're having this conversation, and now young men can understand what it is to obtain consent. And here are the simple rules. No is not, the only thing that means no is no. The only thing that means yes is yes.
Oh, hold on. But by the way, wait, Wendy, none of that means anything if your partner's intoxicated.
Exactly. You cannot give consent if you're intoxicated. So as you know, there's a law in the state of California now that on college campuses, if they receive federal funding, before you have sex, you have to get either verbal or written consent. So now we're teaching this generation of young people about how to get consent. And by the way, if somebody gives consent for one sexual act, it does not mean they've given consent for the next sexual act or the next stage.
It's just, you know, the whole thing makes me sad that women have to fight for, you know, men to behave just decently. That's all.
But this is women's progress. We're finally able to talk
Wendy, is progress, but, you know, our friend Janice Dickinson is having to sit in crosshairs of all sorts of controversies.
Because there's no justice here. There's this is the same story. If I have enough money and enough popularity, then I can do whatever I want for an entire lifetime, for decades,
but Spirit, you can't no longer. In fact, I worry about listen.
What's going to happen here?
But you know, we're such a mob now on social media. I worry it can be wielded in ways that could do harm. I mean, it's affected this guy's ability to have a job. I guess
And
is
think
that
about all
good?
the
Is that
Crimea River, his millions of dollars that he's acquired in his lifetime.
No, I believe that's correct, but we're doing it without a system of justice. It's a mob doing this in his, intervening in his life. I think it's right, but here's a statement first from Cosby's attorney. It reads, quote, decade-old discredited allegations against Mr. Cosby have resurfaced. The fact that they're being repeated does not make them true. Mr. Cosby does not intend to dignify these allegations with any comment. And that's what they have stood by all along. And we are, the five of us, are we all agreeing that what we think he should do is step up and say something?
Actually.
Oh, Wendy does not.
I don't agree.
You
I think as a PR and legal move, he's doing the right thing.
silent.
Just shut up.